So let me just do that. Okay, so welcome everyone to our play space sessions with Circles of AI. For those of you who are new, Circles of AI is a community bringing people together of largely non-technical business leaders and professionals who want to maybe use AI within their environments and within their organizations for either personal productivity or just generally to focus on other things that are more strategic and provide higher value. We're happy to have you here today. We are honored to have Tris Hussey here, who is going to be working with us around some wonderful audio editing. And over the next couple of weeks, he'll be doing that. So often people are very focused on video, but we thought audio needs to have sort of its place as well. So we're thrilled, Tris, to have you here this morning. In terms of what we are going to do, we are going to be building on what we did last week, which was last week many of us built a very quick podcast with NotebookLM, and we were really excited by what came out of it, but there were lots of requests to tweak it, to edit it, to do something different with that piece of audio content. So Tris is going to use a new tool called Descript today to show us what are some possibilities around how we can edit what's easy, and then also maybe talk a little bit about what's hard. So there are some things that are a little more challenging, but depending on what you want to do, we can do that. I'm going to put in the chat sort of some links to basically both Notebook LM, where you can make a very quick podcast by uploading a piece of content and then going to the notebook guide and hitting the audio overview. Or if you just have an audio file that you want to use, any audio file, you can do that. We are going to be using Descript.com today to edit it and play around with it. So we've asked most of you to at least already subscribe or sign up rather for Descript. The free plan is fine to get us started, just to make sure that we can just dive in. So with that, I will hand it over to Tris, and you can take it on from there, Tris.
Well, thank you, Rochelle and James. Thank you for having me. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Let's see, I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. Where is that share button? There it is. Okay. I'm going to disclaim this first and foremost. My screen that I'm going to be working from is over here. So I'm not ignoring you. I'm just working on the screen that's in front of me. The other thing is my chair has a very annoying squeak, and I'm sorry, I can't get it to stop. So these are the hand that I've been dealt.
Tris, can we make sure that we got the right screen shared? It says Circles of AI Descript Part 1. It looks like a
That's
script.
it.
Okay, good.
Yep, that's it. This is I did an actual outline so that so this is what we're going to do today. The goal is we're going to take that recording you made last week or any audio recording, throw it into Descript and get something that you would be okay releasing to the world. And it's not very hard. It's going to be pretty easy. And I've put out the steps here, and we can include those in some text. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to cover this part mostly. We've got this content. What are we going to do next? And because we're going to do a follow-up part 2, which is a little more in depth, and James and Rochelle have actually agreed to be willing victims of doing a recording, we'll kind of do something of, this is my real actual workflow for using Descript for creating the Transit Unplugged podcast every week. Now I'm going to talk more about myself in just a second, because you're going to see in a second, when we get into Descript, there's a little waiting involved. So that's where I'm going to do the talking.
Okay, great. So, and Tris, for that list, is it possible to make it maybe just a little bit bigger so some of us who are old with bad eyes can also see that on your Notion?
Can I do that? Let me see.
There you go. Perfect.
There you go. How's that? That's good. Okay,
that's good.
Cool.
That's good. Thank you. Just
super. All right, now let's dive right in.
Okay.
And I'm going to go back to Chrome. I'm in Descript all the time, so it's a pinned tab, and I'm just going to create a new project, and I'm going to create a new audio project. Now, my company pays for the full meal deal Descript. I don't get anything from Descript. I just love them. So anything you think, oh, he's paid, no, they don't pay me. I just really love it. So what I'm going to do is I have the beginning here. You can name your creation if you want. It usually just takes the file name of your audio file as a thing. And I'm dragging from off screen. I pre-downloaded this file, which was from a panel of 5 transit CEOs from around the world. And it got an audio file, it got a video with all of the talking and the transcript from the audio file to work with. So we're just going to drag this in here. Boom. And now the waiting starts because Descript is going to now do a bunch of stuff in the background. It's going to figure out who the speakers are. It's going to transcribe it. It's going to do some audio leveling. As you can see, it's at 43%. And there's nothing, the longer the audio, the longer it takes. It just is. So who am I? Chris Krug, who is in the audience, and Rochelle, know I've been in the podcasting, blogging world, especially here in Vancouver, since the early 2000s. Right now, I am the blog and podcast manager at Modaxo. We make software that moves people, public transit, airports, ticketing, railway, that kind of thing. And my day job is really, besides writing content for Modaxo, is as the editor and associate producer of the Transit Unplugged podcast. And what I do every day is I get audio from our host that he's recorded, usually over Zoom, and I make it into a show. And so a lot of what you're going to see today in this hour is a very abbreviated, this is what I do every day. In fact, this is what I'm going to be doing right after this session because I got some tape I got to work with. I want to give you a little backstory. See, we're going to still be waiting, so I've got time. A little backstory. How about Descript? So Descript is unlike, oh, we're done. I'll still finish the story. Descript is really like unlike any other audio editor. And when we all started doing podcasting, we're used to these audio editors where you just see this line, essentially kind of looks like this at the bottom, of little peaky things. That's voices. And when I first saw Descript, I heard it from probably a mutual friend of all of ours, Brett Terpstra. He used it for transcriptions. And they were doing transcriptions for Trans Unplugged in Word, which kind of were not great. And I was just using it for transcriptions because I thought, you know what? This is just a toy. How good could a web-based editor be, especially when they say you can just edit it like Word? Come on, this has got to be a toy. Well, one day I had some tape with an interview from a woman from Malaysia, and it was awful. I think she had a fan running behind her head. It was brutal. And I was trying in my classic audio editor to separate out the pieces. It was a single track file. It was taking hours. And I said, you know what? I have nothing to lose. It couldn't get any worse than it is. So I brought it into Descript. I turned on Studio Sound, which magically makes things better. And I said, oh my God, this is amazing. And that was 2 years ago, and I haven't looked back. So please ignore this little thing. I have a setting turned on because sometimes I have to deal with other languages. So this props up. Don't use it. It doesn't really apply for here. So now that we have our transcript, the first thing we need to do is name these speakers. And Descript used to make you listen to an audio bit to do this. They've now changed it so you just see speaker and speaker 2, 3, blah, blah, blah. And you can listen, and hopefully this plays through.
All right, let's jump into a deep dive on public transit today.
Okay, so that's the dude. And this is the woman. You can see already at the bottom, it's already purple.
Oh, wow. CEO.
So the easy thing to do is you just name these. I've decided that this guy's name is Bob. Doesn't matter. And this, I think she sounds like an Allison. I don't know why, but I just think it is. She is. Okay. And so now what I would usually do is to start listening to this recording. And I know right off the bat,
right here. Let's jump into a deep dive on public transit today.
Sounds good.
Oh, that's not Bob. That's Allison. So one of the things that Descript makes really easy is I just select this, get my little context menu, change the speaker, and I say, this is Allison. And it automatically just fixes that up. Now, what we're going to really do is I'm not going to apply any audio correction to this because, as you heard, this is pretty darn good. And I experimented yesterday using Studio Sound, which cleans up bad audio. I did some things you can apply all of the usual audio effects you would expect with equalizers and things like that. We'll do that next week because you're not going to hear any difference this week and go, oh, that's better. It's just not. So we're going to focus on some really easy stuff. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assume these are people. And what I like to do is I like to always remove filler words. And you can see, as if you scroll down, there's some right here. And I'm going to remove these filler words. And I like to only remove the ums and the uhs. And you can see there's only a few of those. We're going to watch the magic happen. And a tip I got from the CEO of Descript, is don't delete them, and don't delete them and replace with a gap of sound, just putting ignore. And what that does is you can see here with Allison, let me just close the search results, that her text is grayed out with a strike through. And so what that means is when you play it.
So what kind of cities are
it's not there. You can read it, you can see it. So if it gets it wrong, you can fix it because it's not perfect. The other thing I like to do, and this is just a personal thing, is I like to tighten the word gaps when people have a really long pause. Anything over than about a third of a second in audio, people think is weird. It's like, and it's unbelievable. So I like to, anything that's over half a second, that I like to shorten to 0.3. So I'm just going to have that do that. And at this point, in theory, you could just export this as it is. You have a complete transcript that's 99% accurate. You have you can export the subtitles, like the closed caption format subtitles, if your podcast host accepts it. And you'd be good to go. You could export it as an MP3 with all the metadata you would like and all the extra fuzzy things we'll talk about later next week of how you export to make it sound good. But you could do that. So that's it. I'm done. Bye. But really, this is how easy this has made editing, because we're really pretty well close to done. But the next thing I want to do before we start slicing and dicing this up is I'm going to have it do one of their, I think, best features, which is automatically adding chapters. Now, they call their AI assistant underlord as compared to being an overlord. So he's under us, right? And I will have it add chapters. Now, the chapters do two things for us. One is it lets you jump quickly from this. In audio terms, are called markers. In podcasting, they're called chapters. It lets us jump to parts of the recording really, really fast. The other thing is when you export the file for podcast apps that support it, like Apple Podcast, Podcasts, I think supports it. Spotify does it a little differently, and I'll talk about that with show notes. It lets people jump to parts of your thing. So I'm just going to read this, give it a quick read. Yep. And I'm going to say add to the script and done. And now I can quickly jump to things that Descript thinks are changes in topic. And it's really, really handy if you want to reorganize the flow, or as sometimes I'm doing, I need to jump to a particular part. I need to either jump back to the beginning or the end or the middle. I usually do this at the end of my editing because I've already hacked out a lot of stuff. But in this case, I think it's going to help us give a sense of what NotebookLM came up with. Any question? Yes.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Yeah.
So I'm really new to podcasting and audio editing.
Yeah.
So this is really cool, but I don't really know how to compare it to like what the old way of doing it is.
The old way,
give us a little bit of a sense of that?
So the old way of doing it is, imagine this top part with the words is gone, and all you're seeing is this. No words at the top. You're just seeing these little bumpy things. That's it. And you have to follow along very closely, guessing where words are. Automated removal would be, it's not automated, it's completely manual. And you learn to recognize what an looks like in a waveform. It's with Descript, my rule of thumb is I can go through audio. It takes me 1.5 times the length of the audio to do my first pass edit. So for this is 13 minutes and 21 seconds. 25 minutes, I would have a full pass. I would have been able to listen through the entire thing, make quick and dirty cleanups, and be ready to move on to, okay, let's make this cool. For the old way, that's 2 hours at least to go through, just listening to this, going back and forth to, take out the tighten the word gaps. It's just tedious.
So the only visual you have are these waveforms of the audio, and then it's all done by ear otherwise. All done by ear and memory. So when I used to do this by hand to remember where things were, I had a notepad I kept on beside me, pen and paper, and would write down timestamps of where things were. And then you get into the problem where once you start editing, someone says, oh, can you take out blah, 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 blah. Well, the trick that audio editors do is they start at the bottom and work up. Because if you start at the top and work down and say, oh, take out this section from 5 minutes, 3 seconds to 5 minutes, 10 seconds, and you delete that. And then they later say, take out this section from 10 minutes, 18 seconds. Well, that's not there anymore. You have nothing to go by. But with Descript, you cheat. You read it. So when I get notes to change, they say, at 5 minutes and 3 seconds when the person swears, I can, even if it's has moved around, I can just skim down for about where it was, or I can use search and find the swear, for example. So for somebody who's brand new to doing this or relatively new to doing this, it sounds like you really require a lot of expertise to figure out how to do the sound editing and be able to create these podcasts. But this tool looks easy enough that I would feel comfortable coming in and being able to do this and produce something of quality. Absolutely. It really lowers the bar. Essentially, if you can use Word, you can do this. That's why by default, they actually hide the timeline. So that you just read this and you can make your changes. So and making changes is easy as for example, I think they took a little too long to get to the meat of this world, to this thing. So I'm taking out all of this. And this is how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to select it, click strike through. I could ignore, but I like to see what I cut in case I mess up because, I'm human. And this is what.
Good. But we're not focusing on the nuts and bolts. We're going straight to the top, analyzing a panel discussion with CEOs from transit agencies all over the world.
Oh, wow. CEOs.
Yeah. What kind of cities are we talking about here?
And you can see it just magically removes it. And if you want, and then you can still adjust things here on the timeline. I love being able to just see these words and move them because, okay, that's Austin and there's a little gap. Well, what if I just want it a little tighter? I can just drag Austin over. And so let's just do the before and after.
So we've got London, Hong Kong, Austin, Detroit, and San Diego.
So let's just tighten that back up.
Here.
So we've got London, Hong Kong, Austin, Detroit, and San Diego.
Now, granted, it's a little too tight. Yeah, and I would not do that because it kind of you lose a little bit there. But that's how simple it is to start making those changes. And you want to create a conversation. So
Tris,
yes.
I have a quick question. So I just want to also maybe just step back just briefly and highlight what are we seeing in each one of these interfaces?
Okay, sure.
So what I see here is you sort of expanded the box. So I now have the audio, the wave file with our little peaks and valleys. but then above it, I actually have the words. Is that correct? That's what I'm
That is
seeing.
correct.
Yes. So I just want to sort of like maybe for other, because I know you're clicking on things, and if someone
it's
is
so fast,
it might seem very fast for them. So you can actually click on something in the text. If you highlight that in the text, then it also gets highlighted in the actual WAV file there, and then you will see above it also the word. So you can kind of tie what you're seeing in the Word document to what you see below. Is that correct? So
that is absolutely correct. There's and I love how it's able to do this, where you're Rochelle, James, and I we talked about this off in the green room and offline. I really now, when I edit the podcast, especially for the second and third edits, I don't listen to it anymore. I read it. I go through and just read the transcript and go, you know what? That needs to be somewhere else. And then I move it. It saves hours of time. Where was that when James talked about his bike accident? Oh crap, I forgot to write it down. You have to listen to the whole darn thing again. Now I just roll down. So that's kind of the next thing I want to do, is let's find some stuff to take out, and let just for kicks, not necessarily that we would remove them. So let's talk about Hong Kong. Hong Kong is pretty cool, but I think there is a part in here where they talk about, it was only in the video, it wasn't in audio, where they talked about crazy stories from transit. And I edited them out of the audio. You will see, for some really good reasons. I'm going to do a quick find. How do
you do the quick find?
The quick find. I'm sorry. I'm a keyboard person. It's Control F or Command F. It's also
there you go. All good.
Here up on the menus. You can do your find and all these extra fun things. So I just do a quick find. I apologize if this is triggering for people, and you will know exactly why I took this out. Is two of the examples were about suicide, and I did not like that. So I'm going to try to find it. And of course, I can't spell while people are looking at it, but I'm going to do one that I know. I think that's going to pop right up. Nope. Maybe they were smart and they took it out. So I'm going to take. I know what. There's another one where someone talks about jumping on a bus roof. So we're going to find roof. Let's see if we can find that. There we go. Here we go. So this is a story from the gentleman in Detroit. I happen to know because I've listened to this 5 times. And he talks about at I can't remember, one thing where Detroit actually won something. They got really excited, and people riding the bus, they popped the emergency thing on the top of the bus and they climbed up on the roof. And you know what? I do not think that's appropriate to let the whole world know forever. So I am going to take this out. And this is kind of one of the things that you would do. And just take that out.
And so so one of the things that you, like, a really good tip that maybe not everyone would think about is basically doing strike through or ignore versus deleting. So
delete.
Versus, like, basically don't try to delete anything, because you might need to go back to it, or maybe you made a mistake, or maybe you realize later on that actually you want some elements of that for as you reorder things for transitions or things like that. So just use strike through.
Use strike through. And now I delete when someone says, just so it doesn't accidentally wind up in the tape. Tris, we really messed this up. Could you take that out? Those get deleted.
Okay.
Just for my own sanity's sake.
Right. Right.
I remove those
Right.
because it is. Now, I think everyone's wondering, it's like, okay, this is cute. You've removed some audio, but what about if I wanted to move something to a different part? And in the old days, this would be a very tedious process of using some of these tools like down here. This is a blade, harkening back to when there was physical tape. And my grandfather used to do this with his physical tape. Take a penknife, cut it, and you tape it. You literally tape it back together. And that's how you splice the tape. Mm-hmm. So this harkens back to that. But what if you just want to move the whole section? And so I'm going to just pick a section at random. I want to lead with public transit as a tool for social change. Right here. And I want to lead with that. So I'm going to find this whole section. I'm just going to select it with my mouse. And I'm just going to cut. And poof, it's gone. I'm going to pop up to the beginning and scroll down a little bit below the little intro. I'm going to put my insertion point here, hit return, and I'm going to paste. You can either do the command Control V, Command or Control V. Do a little right. I did a little right click thing there. You could use the menu, whatever. Paste. Takes just a moment, and now it's there. So we listen to.
Sounds like a really good mix to learn about different approaches and challenges.
Exactly. Public transit can be a powerful tool for social change.
Yeah, we've touched on that a bit already.
And that is really this is how simple and easy this editing process is, because you can read it and you can pull out these elements of the story. If you've ever done an interview, you know that sometimes the interview doesn't go actually in the order you want. Someone relates a story at the end that you really want to lead with. In the old days, that would be really hard to do. You would do it because that's what makes a good story, but it's hard because you have to listen and find that part and make sure you don't lose it. So maybe you have 3 or 4 windows open with, okay, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste it in a new window just because I don't ever want to lose it. We don't have to worry about that, because not only is this all undoable, the Descript makes it really easy to come back to the original file and just bring it all back, even in a new composition or whatever. So it's easy and it's safe, and you're not going to mess things up. Okay,
Tris?
Yes.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, please.
You talked about storyline.
Yeah.
Does Descript help you with actually building up the storylines? You've got all your chapters.
Yeah.
How do you go and build that storyline and review that?
That's something you just learn. And you, by listening over and over again and thinking, I usually kind of, what I do, and this, okay, we can talk about this in more in depth next week. My process is essentially do a first pass listen, and I share it. I'll show you how you share it in a second. I let it marinate in my head, at least for another day, unless I'm pressed and I have to do it, later that hour. And then I go back and I re-listen to it, and I read, and I think, okay, well, what are we trying to say here? It's like, all of those analogies. How do you carve an elephant out of a block of marble? You remove everything that's not the elephant. How do you, Stephen King talks about writing a story. The writer is going to write everything about the story. The editor removes everything that's not the story.
Do you know what came to mind? Sorry, sorry to interrupt you. I've done this with writing proposals and things, but using ChatGPT or Claude, but take the transcript out and actually go and say, what are the key elements? What are the, how would you restructure this? Have you tried something like that?
Funny you should mention that. Thank you for the segue, James. Let's start. So let's start with some of the things I do that I still feel like this is cheating, but it saves me hours is I use the AI tools to do really 3 or 4 things every single week. I have it recommend titles for me. And I sometimes will give examples of past titles. That's a new feature. I always try to give them some custom instructions like you can for NotebookLM. So I want a title that would engage people and get them to sample and listen. And then I just submit. And I see what it comes up with. I go, okay, well, that's cool. And I read them. I'll probably usually copy and paste them into another document just so I don't lose them. And I go, okay. Yeah, you know what? She's like, could you give me 10 more? And I get 10 more titles that I can use. Sometimes the titles have been actually really good, and I've just used them. Like that hits the mark. Most of the times not so much, but it's a really good starting point. And it often will bring up things you haven't thought of, which brings me to the next thing that I do that is completely amazing is I have it draft my show notes for me. I know this seems like cheating. Everyone who's going, and Chris is probably rolling his eyes, is like, Tris, my God, you're using an AI to write your show notes.
Actually, yeah. Tris, can you just explain what show notes are?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Be familiar with what show notes are. Okay.
So in a podcast or actually a TV show or anything, when you look at the episode, there's some kind of text that describes this is what the show is about. Here are the guests. And then for Spotify and YouTube specifically, you need to have the actual timestamps written out in the show notes so listeners can jump to those. It is a Spotify and YouTube only thing. And this makes that process painless for me so that even if I don't keep their show notes, I keep the timestamps. So I give it these are some show notes I've written recently. And I say, in a couple paragraphs, tone to be professional, friendly, upbeat, no cliches or cheesy terms, please. And the script actually tells you, you can tell it that because otherwise it'll make puns. And I tell it to submit. And it does its magic. And I have some show notes. And 9 times out of 10, I will just take these as like our copy and paste them into something else and read them. And James, this is a great way to figure out, oh, I missed that. Maybe that is important. And it's like, all right, maybe, and sometimes it'll help me re-refine the story. Usually this is later in the process, but sometimes it helps me refine the story. It definitely gives me a new perspective on the audio itself and an angle that I can then use for social media posts or I can use for other tools. And it gives me these handy dandy show notes. Sometimes you have to fix the spelling, but really that's a small price to pay from then having to do these manually because it's so easy. But I think, can we do something really fun?
Sure. Yes.
All right. Please. So the big cool thing with podcasting now, and you'll see these a lot on LinkedIn, are audiograms. And that's that little thing where you see the person's picture. I don't like using video, and as you can tell, because I can't sit still. Person's picture, the words go on the screen with the little changey color thingy, and then got a little waveform going, and they look really cool and dynamic. And those, they're kind of a challenge to make because you have to find a good clip. It can take forever. You have to put it into a template, and you have to figure out how do I make this movie into something I can upload and stuff, right? All right. So I'm going to create the clips. And I'm going to say, I want, let's not do 15. That'll take forever. We're going to do 5, no more than 60 seconds. And I'm going to use the light waveform. These are just their stock templates. You can look at more. This one, a lot of these focus on using, if they have video, so they have faces. So not always appropriate for this stuff, but let's just do this one. And I'm going to keep the topic as leadership because it came up. I know it came up in the video. And now we wait. Underlord is very pithy. It will give you a few jokes and some puns while you wait. And now Sometimes it's a little hit and miss, but it's automatically created these as files that you can go back to. They're already pre-created in this area here. The way Descript works is the biggest layer, the holder, is a project. Within projects are compositions. And then you can create folders to nest your compositions, so it cleans it up. But that's the order of things. And compositions each have unique properties. You can apply different sound effects to them. They could have video or not. They could be an audiogram or not. And that's how you can do iterations of your podcast very easily. I will duplicate a composition. And actually, I'll bring up one of my active working files, so you will see how the sausage is made. And I'll dive into this more next week, but how it really helps working. But let's stick with this. Okay, so we've got this basic audiogram. And
when we think about public transit as the foundation of a city, it can completely change the lives of the people who live there.
So it's about more than just transportation.
Exactly. It's about making things more fair for everyone.
Yeah.
And creating a better city for everyone.
I love that. Transit as a way to create.
So clearly this template's missing a little because you can't read the text. It's very easy to edit. We can do the fill color. Let's change it to someone's favorite color. And I'm just clicking, and you can change this to the funky circle.
Create positive change.
It's about making sure everyone has the same
or a ring, which I don't really understand.
Opportunities, no matter
or a wave.
No matter how much money they have or where they come from.
And you see how quickly
I'm just ties back to what we were talking about before.
I am just doing these. And you can create templates to reapply of your own, save them, say, oh, I really like this. And you save it, and you can just reapply them as custom templates. And if you don't like one of these, you just discard it. And then you can ask it to do more. And this gives you this instant visual element that you can apply to any of your audio really fast. I mean, these NotebookLM examples are interesting, but as is a lot of folks who think deeply about podcasting, folks like Tom Webster, and who've been podcasting forever, we're all kind of like, this NotebookLM thing is really cool, but it's not going to be long before the podcast world is flooded with NotebookLM, podcasts with these two voices over and over again. And we don't really want that. And so before I jump and take some more questions, I'm just going to click done here. I'll show after this little spiel, I will show you some actual working files.
And Tris, just before,
yeah.
So once you've done this, once you've created sort of your clips and your audiogram in this case, then you can export it and share it on social media.
You totally. There's first thing is you can if you want to share it, like, guys, is this okay? And you click publish, and it's going to create a little page. This does take a while to render. And this is great for getting feedback, especially from your entire audio, because people can leave a comment. They can see the transcript. This does take a while. I will do this always with my main composition, my main audio. When I've gone through my first pass, I just hit publish. And it's sort of like publish in air quotes, because it's kind of a draft. And then I would do the same thing. I would open up this link and share it with my team to listen. And then when you want to do the actual cool stuff, you can export it with, fancy, if you know video and you want to do, like you want to tweak stuff and do metadata and things, go right ahead. But what is mind-blowing is they've made it so you can just go publish, click this download, and it will download in done.
Right. And you have an MP4 now that
you have an MP4 that you can just put to YouTube,
yep,
LinkedIn, wherever. You saw how fast that was. I don't like doing that. I'll talk about this next week in the workflow. I don't do this for my audio files because this quick publish doesn't let me control some really important parts of the audio file, like how loud it is. And there's some requirements for distribution of how loud things can be. And it doesn't let you do that. But when you want to do something real fast, boom, it is done. It is just there. Okay. Let's talk about, this came up last week.
Question?
Oh, is there a question? I can't see.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I wanted to know if you can replace a word in the text.
You can, I'm sorry?
Can you replace a word? Can you edit, remove a word and put another word?
Can you change the words?
Can you change the words?
Yes.
Yes and no. I know that's a terrible answer. Here's the issue.
Yeah.
If it's you, Vincent, you can do what's called an overdub, where you can select like, geez, I didn't want to say that. And you could select the text and you go to replace and you can do overdub and you could change the words, but it can only change things for people who have given permission to change their voice to say words they didn't actually say. So for you can record a little script that goes, and it's a set script. Everyone does to make an AI voice. I have one for myself, and it sounds terrible because I read it very boring. And then it'll replace your voice, and it will sound like you, and it's really good. But for things like this, it doesn't work because
it's not our voice.
It's
not your
not
voice.
our voice. Yeah. So you can run into issues.
You can replace your own voice if you basically set that up, Vissal, but it cannot be. You can't just replace someone else's voice,
right,
and someone else's words.
Wow, and I understand it now.
Yeah.
So if I'm the one creating my own podcast, I can change things around.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
Yes.
And you see, this is the script you would read right here, and they would go, okay, cool, and then it would generate that voice.
Yeah.
Now there is a caveat to this that is so cool. We've all had those times when we're in Zoom meetings where someone pops out, right? And you can kind of hear their words. Their tool called Regenerate, it won't work very well here because it's all nice and tidy, will fix that. It'll take their own voice. It will not change the words. So if they said everybody, but the transcribed is everyone, and you changed it to everybody, it will not let you do Regenerate. I've asked support for very, very good reasons. But if they kind of slurred everyone for whatever reason, you can have it regenerate it, and it will sound like them 99% of the time. It is amazing, mind-blowing. It'll just fix that little glitch, or when they trail off like this, and you kind of lose the last. It saves your bacon.
So if it trails off, or if it gets sort of connectivity issues, or something along those lines, it will try to use the voice that it has throughout or around it, surrounding it, and it will regenerate sort of those missing pieces to kind of clean it up.
Yeah, to clean it up, and but only if you have not changed the transcript at all. It can only it's a protection to make sure you don't put words in someone's mouth.
Right.
Okay. I think Vincent had a follow-up question.
Yeah.
Dimitri here. Just a quick question. Going back to the editing world, I guess if there's a way to search for a specific word on this whole audio track, and then copy that word and stick it into, let's say it's a word that you wanted to use, but it wasn't used in that section, you could copy and paste it, right? And
yes,
it may somehow work, not great, but it'll be, I guess, the next closest thing by not using your own voice, but using the voice of the podcasters.
Yeah. So for example, as it happens, say you mispronounce someone's name or call someone by the wrong name. So, I'm talking to Rochelle and it's like, hey, Rachel, and then you go, it's Rochelle. You can find the meaning, the word Rochelle, and try to splice it in. It doesn't always work because of just the intonations of your voice. So it's, yes, you can do it, but it might not always work. But what you can do, if they say spell Rochelle wrong, you can have it fix it. So let's just say, Leishman is spelled wrong. It's not. It's actually spelled correctly. And I want to change it to, I'm just going to intentionally misspell his name. Okay. And I say correct all. It will find all of the versions of that. Even if we even like tighten this up. It'll find all of those in the transcript and let you fix them wholesale, which is great. It will get, like, if you have someone whose name is Sean, which I had, and he spelled it Shawn. Descript uses Sean, as one should. But I needed to fix it because that's not how he spells his name. And it just went, okay, find all the Seans, replace them with Sean. Right. And it was just done. It was easy in the transcript, and it was good. So let's talk about
some of the audiogram things where you're actually seeing the text. That's where you want to make sure that the text is clean, is appropriate.
It's bang on. Yeah. This is where you can do things like, if you can tighten up sentences so they look right. So maybe I put my insertion point and hitting the delete key, or something. Here we go. Let's do backspace. Sometimes it doesn't like to do it between speakers, so I don't know why I'm trying to do that. That's dumb. You can take out parts in your audiogram, and it's just like editing the other things, and it'll just adjust. Poof, gone. So let's talk about the elephant in the room we talked about. Just I want to switch up this white dude and this white woman for pretty much anybody else. You can do this in Descript, but it is epically painful. So what you have to do is export the transcript. Come back here. There you go. Export the transcript in Word, plain text or rich text. And I happen to, handy dandy, did this yesterday. Oh, I didn't. So it doesn't take it. It only takes a sec. So I'm going to export this. There we go. You have to export this thing. You can play around with markers and ignored text and things if you want. But the guts of it is you have to open up in Word, find the stuff you want. I am going to just select this, and I'm going to copy it. Control C. I'm going back to Descript. Then I have to create a new composition. Clicking on my little menu panel here, new composition. And then what I'm going to do is I need to write an AI speech. So I'm going to do this. It picks Cedric. He's a lovely Brit. I'm going to paste this in. And when I say I'm done writing, it will generate Cedric. And then I can change from Cedric to any of the other AI voices. That is what you would have to do for the entire thing. So let's listen to Cedric.
But we're not focusing on the nuts and bolts.
Okay. I'm going to switch, browse stock AI speakers. Who do I want to pick? I like Dolores, actually.
Life is like a camera. Just focus on what's important.
Very nice. Okay. And now I just clicked on the screen and it goes, okay, do over. Clicking the little back thing.
We're not focusing on the nuts and bolts. We're going straight to the top, analyzing a panel discussion with CEOs from transit agencies all over the world.
But it's annoying. It will take, to give you some perspective, that 13 minutes of audio in Word is almost 2,800 words. That's how long the transcript is in words. That 13 minutes and 18 seconds is 2,800 words. And so if you want to redo a whole NotebookLM podcast in a different voice, what you will be doing is copying and pasting each person and iteratively pasting it into a composition and setting the voice. Yeah. It's long and drawn out. Yes, James.
It's tedious. Yeah, James.
Yeah. Tedious.
Yeah. So I just had a thought. Can you, in the Word document, could you actually split all of the text, like each speaker basically have all of one speaker, all of their stuff, copy and paste that in, and then you have the second speaker, and then once it's in audio format, then basically build up your conversation again?
I haven't found a way to do that in Word, but I think that might be actually more painful, because if you want to keep the conversation flow, you got to know where the switch points are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if you read it and you go copy paste. Oh, you talk in this NotebookLM, they seem to be chatty. They go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Real interviews, someone talks for a while, so you have much bigger hunks of text to like paste in. It was like, okay, cool, that's 3 minutes. We're gonna put that in.
So there's that's if the more conversational it is, often the harder it is, because because there's gonna be more banter. And the bigger thing is when you're exporting it, then you'd have to take that text and separate it out. And ultimately you'd still have to sort of insert the other person into at the right point. So you're kind of still going through the text from start to bottom. Even if I have all of Bob's first, I then have to figure out where is Allison speaking. So probably having it as it actually is recorded, if you're trying to recreate that, would make the most sense.
Yeah. And it does bring up a good ethics question. So what if I had recorded a interview with James and I, and I decide, you know what, James, you're gonna be Dolores. Taking all of your text, exporting it out, pasting it back in, and just switching your voice to Dolores. Not a good way to go. So Descript is pretty good at putting guardrails around these things, but people are people, and they will find a way. So that's pretty much like, so next week I'm gonna have an interview with Rochelle and James, and we're gonna do this for real with my workflow. We might not get through the whole darn thing, but I will show you the whole process I go through start to finish of editing a podcast and preparing it for production in Descript.
Great. Thank you so much. There was a question in the chat. Dimitri just asked a question and I just sort of said yes, but does Descript replace editing software like iMovie if you want to add videos or images for your podcast?
You betcha.
Yeah. So I said short answer yes.
That's the short answer is you betcha. It's interesting. Descript started as audio only, and they kind of moved into the video space, and now video is really huge. I'm going to show you something I'm working on for a passion project of mine on accessibility. So this was a Zoom video that was recorded, and it's got a couple different speakers. And so you can add video elements to a podcast. You can do pretty much all the iMovie things that you would expect iMovie could do in the very same easy way of adjusting scenes with layouts and text overlays and colors and all of those things. I would like to point out, by the way, if you hadn't noticed, I'm doing this all in Chrome. This is live with a web browser, which I think is pretty mind-blowing unto itself. There are desktop apps you can use, but I've been using the web browser pretty much exclusively for a while. So just add to that. I actually done it on a Chromebook.
Wow.
Great. And it works.
Wow. Tris, another question from Juliana is basically saying, can Descript help with clarifying non-native strong ESL-like accents? So...
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay.
But slowly. So you're reading through the transcript, and I do this. We have a lot of international guests. You listen to the transcript, and you go like, no, I don't think that's what they said. And you can edit the transcript. But in terms of fixing their clarity, it's really hard. You can try some audio tricks to maybe adjust the tone, the intonation with equalizers. So like, do you bring up more of a mid-range or whatever? The best you can kind of do is like make sure the transcript is right. So if someone is following along, they go, oh, that's what they said. Interestingly enough, Descript does a really good job at accented English, except for accented someone who is a French accent. I don't know why. All French and Arabic, it sometimes has a little trouble with, but almost all the other languages I've run into, including Spanish and Portuguese, various Asian languages, it does a really good job. For some reason, French accents throw it goes, I have no idea.
Right. Okay.
It's just weird.
Yeah.
But
well, that's good to know. And maybe other people will play around and give us some ideas around that. So I just want to, before I know we're coming up on time, so I just want to quickly wrap up and let everyone know that, this is being recorded. So we're going to post this and, we'll let you know so you can follow up. We'll post this both to Luma as well as to our WhatsApp group. So one of the things that I did want to just kind of briefly highlight is if you want to continue the conversation, we'd love to have you join us. We'd love to have you continue to chat with us about things. And the best way to do that is actually to join our Circles of AI, basically sign up for Circles of AI. Here's a QR code if you are on a phone and you just want to scan this, but circlesofai.com. And once you join that, you will have links to our WhatsApp group and a variety of other things. So we can continue with these conversations. We will also continue to send you different things around, through Luma about upcoming sessions. Our session next week with Tris is already there. So if you haven't signed up and you want to continue, please do that. We look forward to having Tris back next week to do a little bit more of the advanced stuff. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody, hopefully this has given you some food for thought. Here in Canada, we have a nice long weekend, so maybe it's time to play around with some of these things over the weekend and see what wonderful creations you can come up with. But again, thank you all for attending, for coming today. And if you have any questions, go for it, Tris. I know you put your link in.
I'll take it. Well, I have one last thing.
Yeah.
Because Descript is so easy. If you sign up for free, and you just I feel like doing a podcast. You can just open a new project, hit record, and record. Don't worry that you don't have the best mic. Don't worry about any of those things. Just do it, because believe it or not, I have cleaned up some really, really, really awful audio, and it sounds like it was recorded in a recording studio. So just go for it. It's so simple.
Yes.
How much can I?
One question Dimitri has, and if anyone needs to go, that's quite all right. But how much of what did you show today, Tris, can you do with the free version of Descript?
Most of it. The limits, the guardrails they put on, are like how much studio sound time you're allotted.
Okay, which we didn't do at all today.
We didn't do yet. How many hours of transcription you are allotted per month?
Right.
I would say if you're doing this for work, the top tier plan is $24 a month, and it gives you more than you need. for transcription hours and studio sound time, plus an amazing library of stock audio, video, sound effects, and images to use in your projects.
Right.
It is well worth the price of admission.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hands down.
But basically everything we did today, providing you have a 15-minute podcast video or something to work with, you could do with the free version. So,
absolutely.
So
absolutely.
That is definitely something that you could do. So,
and it's very low risk because you can sign up for 1 month to try it out for less than $20.
Yeah.
It's, and I will say, if you run into problems, their support is super, and the Discord channel is wonderful. It's a really great community. So that is my take on getting started there. Everyone just wants people to make a podcast or a video podcast. It's really easy. Yeah.
Great. Well,
cool.
Thank you so much, Tris.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Really
Thank you, everyone.
Amazing. I think some really good insider tips and tricks in terms of how to edit, and more importantly, how to make sure that we're doing things responsibly. So thank you so much. And we look forward to continuing the conversation next week with some more stuff.
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed this. And we look forward to more playing, more, in the play space, more creativity, and let us know if there is something else you would like to get more information on, and we can definitely put it on our list of upcoming shows. So thank you all, and have a wonderful long weekend if you are going to be having that, depending on where you are. Otherwise, we will see you hopefully next Friday at the latest. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.